Hello everyone and welcome to the very first CEO update video. My name is Adam Ulbrich. I work with the Marketing Communications Department, and as you can tell, I am not the CEO. That would be the gentleman sitting right here across from me, Mr. Mark Knisely. Welcome, Mark.
Thanks, Adam.
As I said, this is the very first CEO update video, so a little bit of how this is going to go. We collected some questions and things like that, and we'll now discuss it and go forward.
Cool.
So, since this is a new venture, Mark, would you like to just kick us off by talking a little bit about the process and what we've seen so far?
Well, as I've mentioned both to the executive leadership team and the communications team, I think my approach on management is to create understanding and be very intentional about what we do. And I think making sure that we can leverage the communications team and your skill set. You know, I hope everybody's had a chance to see your podcasts or listen to your podcasts, I should say, and see what a good job you do interviewing. But being able to leverage that and have boots on the ground, if you will, beyond what I can do and accomplish in terms of visiting offices and meeting with, at various events. Having another set of eyes and ears out there to bring questions back, I think, is critically important, because it helps me have a better understanding of what the questions are in the field, and I think it provides an avenue and a tool for our team members to really provide feedback back to the executive leadership team and management group.
Now, you and I have both done a little bit of traveling so far. What have your impressions been of the travels out to Wisconsin and to other team picnics?
I think things are melding together good post-merger. There were a lot of changes, and particularly for the United staff coming into the merger, and process and procedure changes. So I think it's good to have a year behind us. Customers have been, as farmers generally are, pretty optimistic, even given some of the issues they're facing from an economic and a commodity volatility standpoint from a price perspective. But it's been great. I've made it to a number of picnics, been able to visit some branches, participated in Farm Technology Days in Wisconsin. So I've had an opportunity to, in addition to your visits and some of your travels, had an opportunity to talk directly to a lot of staff and customers.
Now, Mark, anybody who's listened to you speak knows that you're very mission-based. What is your vision for Ag Country, and how does that fit into the greater Farm Credit mission?
Well, you'll know, if you recall back to my first note out to staff after taking over as CEO on Jan 1, we have a mandate to fulfill in terms of what we do and what we provide to agriculture in rural America. And it's really just to serve agriculture in rural America. It's a mission. It's not self-directed. We're under requirements, basically, if you want to think of it like that, from a regulatory and a law standpoint, to do what we can to help customers be successful and improve the profitability in rural America and for agriculture. So beyond that, I think how you accomplish that mission is kind of different for every organization and different for farm credits in general. I believe, and I think both organizations pre-merger had kind of a relationship management type model. Along with that is kind of deciding, what's your area of specialty? How are you going to differentiate yourself from the competition in fulfilling that mission? And I think that the process that we've worked through with both the broader management group and the board and the executive leadership team around being that company, or that cooperative in our case, that offers the best total solution for customers is right on the mark. It allows us to fulfill our mission while at the same time making sure that we're not just the average provider down the street, that we're really adding value from a membership and a customer perspective, because as a cooperative, that's part of our objective as well. So having that best total solution out there is critically important. And one of the things that the management group hit on about a year ago when we first got together, even prior to me taking over as CEO, was this concept of being a destination company. And it really kind of hit home with me, and it's something that we've been building on, and we've spent time right up through the board meeting in July discussing and kind of finalizing this approach as to what this is going to look like, both from a graphic standpoint and how we display it and how we talk about it and the stories we tell around it, as well as just what it actually means. And your destination for success applies across the full spectrum for our customers and our staff and everybody involved with Ag Country. So being that best total solutions kind of company to allow us to fulfill our mission, and also being able to be your destination for success, is going to be the key to that. And we'll spend more time. We're going to ask the board to formally approve the concept at the meeting here in August. So later this week, we'll be asking the board to approve that, and then we'll begin to get that communication out to the teams.
Talking business here a little bit, we've seen the Federal Reserve raise rates a few times over the past couple of years, and they've signaled that they want to continue to do that, or plan to continue to do that going forward. Yeah. What's Ag Country's approach to handling this?
Well, if you go back to the fact that we're a mission-based company, and if we are your destination for success, we have to take a lot of things into consideration. That is one common theme that I've heard, whether being at picnics or trade shows or just one-on-one with customers at various events, is that people are very sensitive to the current interest rate environment. And obviously with commodity price volatility and that part of the income statement, our producers being impacted with lower commodity prices, they're really trying to do a good job of managing the expense side of their business, which we encourage them to do as well. The ALCO, Asset Liability Committee here at Ag Country, is taking kind of a deeper dive into how we position interest rates going forward. It's interesting, and so I really see something coming out of that. Obviously, we think, based on everything that we read and see and hear, that interest rates, the Fed's going to continue to drive interest rates higher. So we're going to have some decision points probably this fall that we're going to need to take advantage of. But interestingly enough, you can be a best total solutions company and be very mission-based. And in doing that, we maybe won't always be the lowest cost provider out there, but we still have to make sure that we're competitive in what we're doing. And I think, given the scale of Ag Country and what our position in the marketplace, I think we can kind of help set the tone going forward with what interest rates do. And I think we're all looking for a way to get a little more aggressive and a little more competitive with the interest rates. As those of you in the field know, we did an awful lot of ALCO exceptions over the last 12 months, and I think that's a pretty good indication that we're maybe a little bit high. But making sure that we don't mess with the alignment between variable and fixed rates, and looking at our overall spread structure and philosophy is very important, and it has long-term implications to the company from a financial and operations standpoint. So again, ALCO is taking a much deeper dive on this, and I would look and or expect that something will come out of that over the next 30 to 60 days.
Now, one overwhelming theme of some of my travels across our marketplace, 2 different offices, has been employees wanting some type of gathering of our entire employee base. Is there any larger employee meeting or meetings on the horizon here?
We've been discussing it from an ELT standpoint. I've heard the same kind of feedback. I think we've because of our larger footprint post-merger and geographic disparity, it's been a little tougher to kind of get people together to a common spot. And this first year in particular, with all the changes that were taking place and all that was going on there, we felt it was important to kind of stay focused on the business and not draw people away from the office. But as I've traveled and as you've traveled, we've heard pretty common themes that there's value in getting the team together and cross-pollinating, if you will, and really spending time and building that broader network and leveraging everybody's skill set. I'll go back to something I said at the start, which is we want to create understanding and be intentional. So if we're intentional about having an all-staff meeting, we want to make sure and make it very clear what the objectives are and what we want to accomplish with it. So we have done some high-level research about the possibility of trying to do something in 2019, and what came out of the last executive leadership team meeting was, probably we ought to survey staff and see what their interest is, and make sure that we have that clear set of objectives and goals with it. So look for, I think, within a short period of time, some kind of a survey going out to team members, just asking their input and opinion as to how how we might best go about accomplishing that. But I think there's value in it.
Any parting words before we wrap up here?
I just appreciate everybody's willingness to really dig in. I know it's been a tough renewal season with the economy, with our producers, and you know, financially we're performing very well, as you know, by watching the benchmarks and if you follow any of the information on the source. So we're really, you know, sitting in a very good, or seated in a very good position from an operational standpoint. The only other thing I'd like to just mention and maybe close on is that, you know, if you think about our values and our structure as terms of what we are and what differentiates us, one of the things that we talk a lot about is innovation. And with AgWorks and some of the announcements that have been made with those technology platforms, I want to remind everybody that innovation is more than just technology. Innovation is really a process of continuous improvement and making sure that we're changing our processes and doing the best that we can. Even though we're a relationship-based company, it's really important that we're also really good with transactional stuff. And we can add that additional value and maybe even charge a little bit more because of the value that our teammates bring to the process. But being willing as a company to look at process and continuous improvement is a culture change. It's not just about plugging in a new piece of software or technology. And I think all too often we tend to think about AgWorks and a new loan origination system and Salesforce and those types of tools as being innovation. I think the real true innovation is our willingness as a management group and as a board and as an AgCountry team to look at new things and make sure that we're always kind of embracing best practices and really kind of moving the ball in that regard. If all we do is, you know, go out and buy new technologies and deploy them, we don't get the benefit out of that, and our customers don't get the benefit. So I'm excited about that. I think, you know, we've used the word transformational a lot when we talk about these new systems and kind of what we're looking at there. The transformation will really only occur if we're willing to really be serious about innovation and make sure that we have feedback from all parts of the company, that we're willing to change how we look and do things at AgCountry. And it's been a while since we've had those kinds of changes. So I'm really excited about the possibilities there. And the only last thing, just as a word of caution, is that kind of a change doesn't happen overnight. So it's really important that we have that kind of an expectation that it's going to be a journey. It's not a sprint. It's more of a marathon. But kind of changing that culture to be truly a culture that values innovation requires something more than just buying new software and technology. But that's probably enough to bite off with this first session. So.
Well, that's a wrap for us here. Thank you for watching, and we will see you soon.
Thank you.